Good morning, students. We're going to start with our colorization of a black and white photo today. So before we get started, I just want to remind you, make sure that you click up on the image tab in the toolbar and go down to mode and then make sure that your picture is set at an RGB color. If you already started working on it and it's not RGB, it's okay. It's okay. You can click on it, but when the prompt comes up about merging, cancel or don't merge, if you click don't merge, then if you have any of your layers already set down here in the corner, you won't merge them, which means it pushes them all together. We're going to start off today. We're going to click on most of the tools in here, and we're also going to use some keyboard shortcuts. So if you have a pen and paper, you might want to write some of these shortcuts down, and it might make things a little bit easier for you. So to start off today, I'm going to take my most prominent object, and I'm going to start working with that. Just because it's the most fun. So I'm going to click up here on the third button on the toolbar, and I have three options I can choose from here. I'm going to use the polynomial lasso tool. There's another tool we can use, and I'll show you that one in a second. So if I'm going to do this car in front here, I want to make sure that I select everything that I want to change as one color with this car. So looking at it, it basically comes underneath the steering wheel and goes around. I'm not going to do the chrome or the white, and I'm going to kind of just work around here. I'm using this polynomial lasso tool because I can select it by myself and make sure that I get exactly what I want. So what I'm doing is I'm just clicking along here as I go along the car, and I want to make sure that I get it right along the edge of the car here. I'll probably speed this up for you. Sorry to go back before I start clicking. I wanted to just make a quick note that you want to be on the outside of the pixels here. So I'm a little high here. If I hit the backspace button, I'll go down to my last click. But we want to grab as much as those pixels as possible. Sometimes you might want to use Control- to zoom out, and Control+ to zoom in to make sure that you are clicking on and selecting exactly what you want. So to finish, I just double clicked, and now I can see I have these things. They're called the marching ants around my my object, and as I zoom around, I can see that I have almost everything. I want to make sure if I go to the front here, yeah, my chrome kind of is going to curve around the front. I went underneath here a little bit. I assume that the car comes here, but you can see I think I missed a little bit of the car right here, right from the chrome, right from the wheel well down here. So, you know what, if I really look at it too, probably right here. So here's what we're going to do. The first keyboard shortcut I'm going to show you is Control-J. And what Control-J is going to do, make sure that you have your layer clicked here, is it's going to make a new layer of just what we had selected. And looking, the layer looks pretty good, but I'm still missing this little area here and this little area here. So I'm going to now go in and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use my polynomial lasso tool. I'm going to come in here, I'm going to grab this, double click, and I'm going to say, make sure I'm on my first layer, Control-J. And I'm going to do the same thing down here. Double click, marching ants, make sure you're on your layer, Control-J. Now while I'm still talking about these layers, we're going to spend some time, we're going to make sure we're organized for this project. So let's label these just by clicking on them. Because my layers 2, 3, and 4 are all my car pieces that I want to use, what I want to do now is I'm going to use Shift and I'm going to select all of them. You can also use Control and click each one individually, or go to the bottom and top, or top and bottom, and hold Shift and click, you'll select them all. And I'm going to merge these together. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to say merge layers, and now it's just one layer of just the car. So because I said we're going to try and keep this organized, I'm going to double click where it says layer 2, and I'm going to call it car 1. And now I have that labeled. We're also going to do one more thing to keep really organized and just to keep things neat. The reason why we're putting things separately, if we make a mistake, we're going to be able to easily go in and modify, change, or just get rid of a layer. So now that I have my car 1, my background layer, I'm going to click on the folder, a folder down here in the little toolbox, and I'm going to call this also car 1. And I'm going to move that layer in there. The reason being is once we start getting all of these layers, it'll keep things a little bit more organized for us and just a little bit easier. So now that I have my car selected, let's add some color to it. And to add color, we're going to go down to the fill or adjustment layer button. That's it's like a circle that's half filled, and go to the top where it says solid color. So now that we have everything labeled, we're going to add some color to this car. So if we go down to the fill or mask or fill or adjustments button here, and we go solid color, it's going to add a color to the whole screen, which is not what we want to do. We want to hold control and click on the little thumbnail here, and it will select everything that's not transparent in our picture. Now if we go to the fill button, solid color, and make this car a nice cherry red, and click OK, it now has just put color over top of whatever was selected. If we go to our blending mode button, we can now click on it and click overlay, and it will add some color to the picture. Now, picture looks good, it has some color on it, and there's some definition. It definitely is colored, but it doesn't quite look right. So I'm going to make some adjustments. I'm going to come into my opacity button, and by clicking on it and clicking on the scale, I can make it a little bit less red, a little bit more, and basically it's making my picture a little bit more transparent. And there we go. Because we have this all in one layer, now we can close it, and it's going to be in our car. Now I'm going to also do the pants. The next thing I'm going to do is the pants. I'm going to use a little bit of a different tool. I'm going to add a new folder. We're going to call it pants. I'm going to click on my background image, my background layer, label that properly, and I'm going to make sure I'm on that, and we're going to select the pants. Same way we just did the car, except we're going to use a different button. We're going to use the quick selection tool. It's the fourth one down. If you hold your mouse button down, it'll come up quick selection. It's a little paintbrush with a selection tool on it. And what the quick selection tool does, if you hold your mouse button down, it will select what Photoshop thinks is the best. It'll select what it thinks you want to select. Now, if your circle here is a little too big, you can come up here to your settings and click on size. You can click that bigger or smaller. One would be way too small, but 5 might be a good number. So if I click on here, it'll select. I don't want to add color to the in between the pants here, so I'm going to select that. I'm going to go minus here, select that. It makes a quick selection. It's not always perfect to what I want, but it's quick. So that's the pros and cons between this versus the polynomial lasso button. Looks like that's going to be his shirt. So now that I have my pants selected, I've taken this little part out here by using the Alt button and clicking. I think I've done a pretty good job in here. If I zoom up, using Alt and scroll in my mouse, I'm going to grab that. You can see I missed this whole little line right here, so I'm going to try and do that again. And you can see that's the difference between the quick selection and polynomial tool. I tell you what I'm going to do though is I'm going to go a little bit underneath here, and I'll show you why. Because as we start working with the layers, we can make sure that we hide this layer behind the car, and that way we'll make sure that we have everything selected, but also hidden at the same time. So let's make sure we do that. Click right there. Alright, I think we're good. So now the same tools we're going to use again. The quick button is Control J. We're going to layer this as our jeans. And we're going to move that under pants. If I click on that again, Control, click on the thumbnail, you'll see we have the marching ants. Solid color, we're going to make these into a nice jeans color. Like that, okay. Overlay. It's a little bit darker than I want, so let's drop those down a little bit. I'm just going to keep working on it, and I might pause occasionally and see if we have any more comments or suggestions. So as I kept going here, you can see that I started adding a little bit of color to my wall, my carpet, but a couple of quick pointers here. I'm working on the third kid, or the second kid on the right here, and you can see if I right click here and if I show only this layer, I've separated his shirt, but there's some white on it, and I want to add some color, but I don't want to add color to the white. I want to keep it white. So I went up here and I used the magic wand tool, and I just started selecting. I'm holding shift and I'm clicking on anything that's white, and it's almost like the reverse of what we've been doing. We're going to keep everything except for this white area. Get rid of that. I'm going to click on delete. And what we're going to end up with is just the black color. I can still look, I can see there's a little bit there. Delete. And I think I'm going to be okay with that. We'll see how this one works. So now if I click, Control click, it has all the black of the shirt highlighted. I'm going to And one more thing I wanted to show, if you see my pant leg is over top of my car here. So that doesn't quite look great. The reason why we want to keep everything in... So you can see down here that the pant leg is actually over top of the car. Now the reason why we tried to keep everything as organized as possible is because my car is here, my layer, and my pant layer is on top of it. Now it's just easily, I can click and drag it below my car layer, and my car layer will be on top of it. We're going to stop there, and we'll maybe see the finished product someday.